Greetings everyone and welcome back to Surviving Mars, where since the last episode I have put in quite a lot of game time, specifically during several Surviving Mars streams, so we're probably going to see a bit of a change in my playstyle, though actually that being said, not that much of what I should imagine, because I just built on what I already knew. Right, so we have, let's see, a new dome all set and ready, where we're going to be able to mine both metals and precious metals, or rather rare metals. We've got plenty of water coming in.
Cable fault reported.
Okay, let's slow down time just a little bit and find out what's going on. Right, that's not what I'm easily going to be able to work with, and that's a bit of a shame. That is a bit of a shame. How's our power doing right now? Power-wise, we seem to be doing reasonably well, actually. Oxygen, not amazing, but that should be okay, I should imagine. We've got plenty of fuel there. We've got one Moxie providing all of the oxygen for the colony. I'm actually going to spend... how many polymers have we got? We've got enough polymers. Let's go ahead and upgrade that so that we're producing a few more polymers besides. Now, our main dome, we've got many more colonists than we can actually fit. That is never a good thing. Never, ever a good thing. But on the plus side, we do have 2 full shifts of machine parts being produced. We're pretty good on both polymers and machine parts. The only thing that we're really hurting for right now is electronics. And once we have that, then we are, for all intents and purposes, going to be completely self-sufficient. Right, we're going to unpin that off the screen. And right, as for the dome, the newest dome, the newest basic dome, shall be named Belial Dome. There we go, Belial. Welcome to the colony in dome form. Alright, how is everything else going? We got any anomalies that I want to be out there exploring? I think we've hit all of the anomalies we can along the top, so no, we don't need to be doing that, at least not for now. How much water have we got left?
Complete.
We've got a decent amount. Oh, there we go. CO2 jet propulsion. We're actually generating massive amounts of research. In my latest stream game that I actually streamed last night, we're playing on a much higher difficulty level at 365. And yeah, it's a very different game. Much slower research progress. These would be quite nice to have so far. And given that we are generally going for spires on all of our buildings, it might make sense to try and pick that up sooner rather than later. Right, well, given that we've now got drones, that is brilliant. Let's see, productivity training. Okay. I think overall that's not necessarily a bad move. We will pick up... Well, it's not really necessary for us to grab this just yet, I would say. Not necessary. We'll pick up utility crops as the 5th research option for the future. It's not something we're going to need immediately. And also, rover, not currently doing any work. So how about we have a look around for some more metals that we can go and collect. We've got some metals over here. That will be wonderful. Let's go and grab those. Grab all of those and actually just drop them off over
Sector
here.
Scanned.
Would be fine. Right, we are going to need to bring over a decent amount of fuel as well. So let's set that up. We just want a fuel depot here. And I would quite like... Bubbles, should we move you over there? Well, before we do, we're going to need a drone hub here. Let's see. Can we build them? Yes, we can.
You're listening to
Marvelous.
Mars Official Radio with Panam Masculine. Your first
Hello,
radio
Panam.
host choice with the best radio voice.
Right, we're going to want to cover around about there, I would say. That should be fine. Oh, no, we do have a drone hub. Never mind. That's fine. Okay, right, let's get you over here then. You've got so many drones, Bubbles. Oh, my lord. Right, at this point, I would very, very much like to build the shuttle hub. Now, it doesn't consume much power, only 10, but when you see what it gives you, it is enormous. Granted, it will be propping itself up with the fuel that is being generated, so having it nearby the fuel depots is going to be a big thing for us. Right, Which drone has got low on battery? Really? You're very low on battery. Let's go and get you topped up then in that case. Once that's built, we won't actually need our transport to move things around. Instead, we can have our transport just go and mine certain areas. In fact, we might do that with bubbles. That would be quite a useful thing to do. Now, what kind of spires do we have access to? We have the archaeology, which is a pretty solid option to start with. Let's pop that down and actually begin with that. If we get the archaeology up and running, then what we're going to see is a load of people moving in there. So we'll actually turn that off for now. Oh, actually, no, we'll just drop its priority for the time being. We want to make sure that people moving into this dome actually have somewhere to eat. That's one of the most important things you can do. You could pop down a grocer if you want, but I prefer to go for dining myself. The grocer, however, does offer shopping. There are a couple of ways that you can do this, because the diner offers dining, social, and food. If we went with a spacebar, we get relaxation drink, or like drinking. If you also then have a grocer, you have food and shopping, so that covers two of the things with the diner, but you are taking up a whole large section, a whole triangle for the spacebar. If you can follow that up with a casino complex, then you get luxury gambling and gaming and social, and at that point you've more or less covered all of your needs. So perhaps we'll do that. Perhaps we will set that up in just this one area. We'll have a wee grocer, and we'll pop down a nice little statue outside as well. It'll look lovely. Look lovely it will. Next up, we want a spacebar and then a casino complex just down about there. And that's going to cover, as I said, the majority of the needs of this colony, of that particular dome. Now, down here, we're producing a decent amount of research coming out of this, I should imagine. Only 180, actually. I'm not as impressed. Not as impressed as I'd hoped I would be. But that's fine. We've got a lot of things this particular dome is working on right now. We could, if we wanted to get more research in there, just change a couple of things around. I mean, right now, they are unemployed, so we could get them working there, but that is going to change very suddenly once that archaeology is built. It's going to change very, very suddenly. So we don't necessarily want to focus on that too much. The next thing over here we're going to want is an apartment. Let's set you up, but I'm going to, again, drop that priority down a little bit. So let's make sure that the dome itself has a high priority on oxygen and water. So we've got our grocer there. These will be built. I would like the grocer built as a high priority because, again, without food, people are going to become very upset. Very, very upset. Let's get an infirmary. I feel that's actually a pretty important one. And we'll then follow that up with a little stone garden right on the edge there. That'll look quite lovely, I think. Quite lovely indeed. Right, next up. How many drones do you have? You have 4 drones. That is not nearly enough drones. Let's reassign some of the drones from our rover over there. Could you perhaps go and get charged? There we go. Can grab another one. Come on. I know there's loads of you there. It should be easy for me to click on you. There we are. Right, let's get you down here as well. And let's move a couple more across.
We just received a letter
there
from
we are.
Magdalena, who works
That
as
should help out a fair bit.
Dear Penham, even though I like your show and your interesting talks, I sometimes find the way you express your opinions a little bit blunt. Everything can't be resolved through facts. There are other aspects to take into consideration, like emotions, innate drives, and values. However, I do like the music you play and your informative commentary. Magdalena, I understand you, but I find it hard to come up with a suitable response. I will think it over and get back to you with an answer. I'll think better with some music.
There we go. Let's drop down a few more storages for all of the waste ore that we're going to get around there. It's not going to be too bad, all things considered, though. Up here, it's going to be a lot worse because we're going to have 3, possibly 4 extractors across the lifetime of this area. That is going to be quite significant. Right, what I would actually like for you then, could you please gather fuel and drop fuel off up here? There we go. And that way we can get this shuttle, rocket, set up and launched fairly quickly. Now, this should be ready very soon, which is going to be excellent. The final piece of the puzzle up here is going to be the construction of electronics. But before we actually get to that, we're going to need a source of rare metals. And that will be you. Let's actually see which one is the best one. Average, very high, average. But this one's got a really, really decent production. We're not going to quite be able to reach that one, which is a bit of a shame, but oh well. We'll have to set up a second dome around here. But given the amount of extractors we've got, it's very likely that this is going to be a site for a second dome anyway. So that's not something we need to worry too much about. We'll drop that down in priority though. I don't want that built too quickly. Right, there we go. That has been set up. Hopefully we can get plenty of food up here. Right, the next building we're going to want is the electronics factory. So let's get you into position. I'm going to say with that, the last thing that we'll want is actually another apartment. We're going to want a lot of people over here. An awful lot of people. We're going to have an awful lot of very important jobs, so it makes a lot of sense. Right. Now, I do like having the universal drop-off places, but I would prefer them to be a little bit closer to the places that are going to use them. Furthermore, I would like the rare metals. Well, they're going to be dropped off from here, even though that's quite far away. It's roughly the same distance no matter how our bots travel, so it's fine. We'll leave it as for now. I guess we could have the electronics a bit closer though. That isn't going to be as much of an issue. We'll drop down the metals closer to where they're going to be mined, just to minimize the amount of moving around that we're going to have going on. Food really doesn't matter where that goes. So I'm going to say let's pop it near the drone bay. Actually, that said, let's have it closer to where it's going to be used, which is in the grocer there, and that should take care of all of that. Here comes our first delivery of fuel. Excellent. Actually, quite like this track on the radio. It makes me feel happy. Right, we need a lot of polymers and a decent bit of electronic parts. Let's actually speed things up a little bit. During the streams, I play pretty much exclusively on the second speed, and although it does mean that to complete a game, it took me something close to 17, 16 hours across two streams.
Research complete.
I don't know, it was actually just a very, very pleasant speed, but I'll see what I can do with triple speed here. Though that's actually 5 times speed, rather. Right, down here, don't really want these there. We want to start moving things around. I do want to try and sort out my areas a little bit more. Now this dome is close enough to that area to mine, should we get the opportunity to. But we aren't really going to be doing it for now. Let's get rid of that, get rid of this. We'll just move those to a universal storage. That as well needs to go, but you will get a new one there. Right, what we want over here is a universal drop-off. And there we are. It is ready to launch. Fantastic. Go ahead and leave. There is nothing on board you. Right, you don't need to be doing that run anymore. And all the drones can return. Can you reach that fuel? You can. So you should, ideally, load it up down here. If I do this. There we go. Right, how are things going over here then? How are we doing? Let's get the spacebar up next as the next highest priority.
Sector scanned.
There we are. Now we are going to need a fair old whack of concrete, and that is something we don't have an awful lot of. Now, if we can wait on this being built, which hopefully we can, we've got a fair number of polymers we need though. Perhaps I could haul those down. That might be a little bit faster. Where are the polymers right now? Or have they already been brought down? Let's have a look. Can you reach up to the top? That would be the ideal situation. You cannot, and that is unfortunately a shame. What we'll do then is we will pop down a single universal drop-off point right there. Now, the problem with what we've done there is that these are outside of each other's area of effect. One thing we could do to fix that is have a third drone hub right here, which would allow us to build a dome around here, perhaps for research, since it wouldn't specifically be next to anything we want to extract, and that isn't a bad idea. But right now we'll just have the we'll just have this set up. This gives our drone areas a way to shuffle resources, because generally speaking, the drones will try to balance the items in the universal storages, so they will always be visible to one or t'other, and generally visible to both, because they will balance them in there, and so things will slowly move around. Once we have the shuttle bay set up, though, that is not going to be something we're going to be worrying about. Right, next up then, let's see what we would like to do. Could drop a bit of research into this, but it's rather expensive, honestly, at the moment, or at least it is compared to how cheap I've seen it become. I have also learned how the research works. It seems that they are built in bands, so you have a low band, a mid band, and a high band of research item. Let's say there's 5 in each band, or however many. Within that band, research technologies are attached to a band. So there are, let's say, 5 technologies which are specifically early game technologies. Within the first 5 slots, they can be completely randomized, but they will never be randomized outside of their tier of research, or of their low, middle, or high, or early, middle, or end game technologies. So there is quite a lot of randomness in there, but it's not across the whole field. So you could get this early on in the mid tree, and thus it would be less expensive, because each technology gains the technology costs more the further into the tree it exists. Breakthroughs, however, there are a lot more breakthroughs than you will see in one game, and they are totally random, which is particularly interesting, I feel. Now, the things up here are going to be using more power than normal, unless we keep this turned on all the time. Let's expand that out a little bit. Actually, that isn't the best place to have it. I think what we would like to do is build a second one. Subsurface heater right about here, which will hit both of these extractors for a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. This one can be expanded out for an awful lot of power, and it would, well, that being said, it does cover the whole dome there. But still, if we get this one built, we can probably just use them to cover a large part of the dome.
Research
something like that,
complete.
Followed by something like this. Let's go. That gives us 20-ish.
This is Mars
That's
official
not too
radio
bad.
with Panem Public Service
There we are,
We have a soundtrack just
22.8.
right for the blue sunset.
Now that doesn't cover the whole dome, which is unfortunate. And we may well be hitting that rare metals deposit some point in the future. So how about we build one more just on the outside, just so that we can get the majority of the dome covered. Something right about there. And then we'll use this to send out a little bit of water. Well, yes, we will actually connect it up. It's not strictly what I like to do, because I like to have a separate area for a backup supply of resources for the colony. But we'll see how it goes. Right, productivity training has been complete, which is fantastic. Engineers and geologists now have a +10 on their performance, which I'm quite pleased with. Quite pleased with indeed. Right, I would like extra storage. Let's zoom out a little bit. Now, as we know, I've got a little backup area here for materials for this one colony. We want to have something similar over here, but generally speaking, I would normally prefer at this point to build it off one of these and have that unique to it. That being said, now that this dome has been built, we can instead piggyback the energy through here. So let's actually do that, since it's going to save us a little bit of potential problems with the pipes and the energy grid. Let's get rid of you then at this point. Just delete that all the way back. There we are. That should do quite well. There we go. This will allow everything to move through there, assuming that we have the materials for it, which I certainly hope we do, though it's remotely possible that we don't have enough metal there anymore. Which would be a bit silly. A massive oversight on my part. Alright, let's go and grab the metal from over here and then drop that off just down there. Should be fine. There we go. We've got the spacebar up and running. Glorious. The last one we really want is the casino. That's going to be a little bit of time, though, to get built up. Right, how are my polymers going down here? We're producing a decent amount, and we are almost... Well, we're not quite almost finished with that at all. Right, drone swarm has been completed. Excellent. What do we want to fill in there? I wouldn't mind improving our extractors. Although it's going to take a lot more power, it will work out in the end. At this point, let's go and see how many billions have we got, rather. I think we can afford to send over... Can I have a second explorer, perhaps? Might not be a bad move. Sure, we'll grab an explorer, and then we're going to just try and kickstart everything with a few more materials. There we go, that should help out a little bit. The extra explorer will help us out with our research. It's a nice cheap way of getting a good whack of extra research coming in. Right, we are going to need to be much more proactive with gathering up all of our metals. However, I have totally been dropping the ball there. We've got a bit of a water shortage because that pipe has been disconnected before I made sure that we had an alternative to it, which was a bit dumb on my part, if I'm perfectly honest, but there we are, it's done now. Right, if you could please drop off all of this. Oh, auto saving. If you could just drop that off right now, and then you can charge after that. There we go. Then
resources are low.
And recharge. There we are. Everything is back up and running, and we should have this heater live in just a moment. Now we'll expand out the radius. We might reach out so far as this, but it's unlikely. All I really want from you is to cover the colony. There we go. And we would actually be covering whatever we build down there. So that's ideal, actually. That's pretty solid. We're probably going to have the next
cable fault
area
reported.
over there, though. Right, we've got a couple of buildings not working. No one working there. Yep, we don't have anyone there yet. But that's fine for the time being. I think we're doing okay. Right, where are you, and where do we have
sector scanned
to collect? Let's see, 95 up here. Oh, that is good. That is extremely good. Right, could you drop them off closer to the universal depot, though? That'll be a bit more
complete.
Useful for me, I feel. Right, low G fungi. We can now set up mushroom farming. We don't yet have a kinder dome, which is what people in my streams have come to call a dome specifically designed for housing and training young Martian borns, which does make sense. We are going to hold off on researching that as a result. We don't strictly need it yet. Factory amplification, though, would be very nice. Just getting more out of what we've already built would be ideal for the time being. Ideal. Right, how are we doing down here right now? Things are generally working out okay, I would say. How close are we? 9 to 15. Once the rocket is here, we'll be able to get that finished. And once that's finished, moving materials around the map is going to be very easy for us. Very easy indeed. And that's the main thing that we're going to be worrying about right now. Got plenty of concrete flowing into the colony. That's not too much of a concern, though I am going to need to move that up here specifically, though my drones are or should be moving concrete here and there. As we can see, like I said, because of the way we've got things balancing there, it's not too bad. Though it is slow, much slower than it would be otherwise. There we are. These things are all somewhat built ahead of time. I'm going to need another drone to come over here and recharge this one. There we go. Perfect.
Cable fault reported.
And we should be seeing our transport heading down in just a moment. Right, let's get these polymers out. And in fact, everything out of there. How are we doing over here, Melancholic Glutton and Lazy? We should be okay. I actually want that to have full shifts at all times. If you've got a fault, then you really do need to be working in there. Oops, we don't want to quarantine it. My bad. Right. Melancholic, Lazy, and Glutton. Those floors are wanted here. So, Lazy, Glutton, and Melancholic. I really would like those particular people over here. Specialization, we want botanists. We would also like, don't have any mines, so geologists are necessary. We do have engineers for both of these buildings, so that's also cool. And scientists, but other than that, don't really need anyone else. Oh, we do want some medics as well. That's fine. Other than that, though, we're pretty good with that dome. Right, there we are. Dropping off metal soon, I hope. It does tend to recharge before it drops things off, which honestly makes sense. If you've got the time to spare, then let it do it, because it's just going to save you from yourself later on. But there we go. We're going to have a decent amount of metals stored there, which should be hold all over the place. There we go. This is now built. Fantastic, I must say. How many electronic parts? We've got a decent amount of electronic parts. Does cost 3 to build each one of these. But I would like to get up to an extra one. But now you will see our shuttles. They will move things around on their own to wherever they are most needed. Now, the beautiful things about the shuttles is they're quite intelligent about the way they move things around. And if there is a demand near one of the dropper points, they will prioritize using it. They do still try to balance things a little bit, from what I understand, but they're much less focused on it than the drones. So we should see this place get built up very quickly. Now, there was a lot of electronic parts needed for this. It's a very expensive investment, the casino. Very, very expensive investment, unfortunately. But it is
Sector
useful.
scanned. Anomaly found.
Certainly useful. Now, where are we seeing all those anomalies? All the way over there. I can't say I'm super happy about that. We're going to have a tunnel leading down here into this, into the footprint. Quite a few people were amused by that footprint. Now, I have been told that apparently this is actually using Mars topography for certain sites, at least the central sites. Obviously, the fact that Mars is basically split up into grids by mountains, no. But a couple of the named sites do apparently are based on map data of Mars, which I found particularly interesting. There we go. We should be seeing this place really coming into its own now. The last thing we need there are electronic parts. How many of those do we have? Very, very few, thanks to the enormous amount that one...
Cold wave approaching.
Well, it's in 3 sols. Let's see if I can remember in time to turn that on. How much energy are we producing? More than we need. Not enough. That will drink our energy supply. So how about we don't do that then? Though, given it does actually expand out, yeah, sure, we're going to draw out a little bit of an extra area that is going to be under its protection, and we're going to make use of the fact that it's going to be protecting it by building up more solar, more wind farms. The opposite of solar. Well, not quite the opposite, but in terms of your desired, your preferred mode of energy production, it may as well be. There we go. And our shuttles are already doing an awful lot of work for the whole colony. I'm extremely happy about that. Extremely happy. There we are. This is going well. And the casino is up and running. Perfect. Right, I'm actually going to set the archaeology now to a high priority building. Let's get that finished as quickly as you possibly can. We will drop down the 2 apartments. They'll be built when we have the means to build them, but they're not going to be rushed otherwise. This is apparently turned off. We do not want that. We want that turned on, please. Why is that not turning on? Building is frozen. Well, that is frustrating. How did that happen? Possibly when I broke the water coming in from there. That is a little bit of an annoyance. Oh well. Alright, where are you and what are you doing? Let's get you moving more metal down if we can. 21 over there. Where would that 21 metal be? Possibly that right there. Let's grab those, and we'll shift this all the way down here though, just so that our machine parts manufacturing is sorted. But at this point we're effectively self-sufficient, which is actually really, really nice. Utility crops has been researched, which is pretty good. Domes which have farms will have increased comfort for all residents in that dome. That's actually a very, very nice one. Field extractors is particularly good for us. But for the time being, I think we're going to look at... Let's see. Yeah, I think we're going to be gaining the Martian Institute of Science. I want more science flowing into this colony rather sharply. Though before then, we'll go with the medium dome because I'm going to want to build it in a medium dome. Alright, how are we doing here? Well, we've got a little bit to go with the polymers, but hopefully we'll be able to get those set up.
Sector scanned.
We'll see. I'm going to drop the priority of
resources are low.
Filling up my ships for now. Yes, we are out of electronics. It is very unfortunate, especially because this needs them. Well, drat. Okay, well, given that then, we are going to need another shuttle at least. I really should have bore that in mind before I built the casino. The casino is fantastically expensive for what it is, but it is a good way of getting most of a colony's desires sorted out. We will be able to generate a decent chunk of cash thanks to the rare metals extractor, though that will require a few things to properly upgrade. That being said, we should have a bit of money down there simply because we have been researching. 15 is all we're going to need to get things sorted. So let's allow that to visit. 1 sol, 18 and 17 hours. That shouldn't be too bad. How much power are we now generating versus what we need? A decent amount. I think we can now turn this on without having to worry about it. Though it needs to be maintained, so just as well I turned that on now. Since we do need that to be in working order by the time the cold snap hits us. Okay, let's go grab the polymers, which is probably this. It's probably just 2 polymers by itself. Right, you can head back to Earth at this point. Goodbye. And with the parts that we receive, the rare metals that we receive, we'll be able to set up the electronics over here. Now, generally speaking, I have changed my views on selling rare metals once you're mining it. Before then, probably worth having it, but I kind of built out of order here, if I'm perfectly honest with you. And so we lost some of the benefit of having those early rare metals that we managed to gather. Now, what you're seeing here is someone's relocating. That dome is too far away for them to make the trek. It isn't, but they would run out of oxygen partway there. And so, you know, they're not going to intentionally inflict that on themselves. So normally they wouldn't have transferred over to this dome. But thanks to the shuttles, they can traverse any kind of distance, which is very, very nice indeed. Could we get that repaired, please? I really, really would like that repaired as a massive priority right now. If we can get some drones to take care of that, it would be grand. Hopefully we'll see a couple of drones heading out there. Or does this need electron parts? No, it just needs metal. And we've got more than enough of that. So if I could get these guys to perhaps focus on this. Perhaps. Let's get you... No? I mean, it is... Oh, I can just click on request maintenance. There we go. That should actually force focus it. It isn't necessarily the priority, though that will affect how frequently
Sector
it gets
scanned.
Maintained. But you can just tell them, quick, go do it now, please. Needed. Right, we want the 38 metals that are over here. Let's go and collect those. And we'll drop these off down here, since that's where they're being used more than anywhere else. Right, we should see our shuttles dropping off a decent bit of food up here, or at least I would certainly hope to see that. There we go, we have the rare metals extractor coming online now. It'll be a little while before we have enough people in all of the various jobs here, but because these are covering so many
Cable
different
fault reported.
Desires, it's enough to just have someone in one slot each if we're running low on colonists. But we're not going to run low on colonists, realistically speaking, because we've got so many who want to move over there. Now, with that, we are actually fairly good with this colony for the time being. There we are. Disaster starts in 10 hours now, but we should be okay, I imagine. Can we get that on? This building is frozen.
Welcome back to
Well,
Mars official
that is
radio.
fantastically
Due to
annoying.
the dynamic and irregular environment
That's
in schools,
fantastically
I was
annoying. I'm going to have a
dissatisfied
second
working
one
as a
just to get
teacher.
that turned on.
Instead, I went back to the university and studied astrophysics.
Well,
Physics is
I
the
guess
science
we
of matter,
could,
its
just to
motion,
kickstart
and its
it.
behavior in space and time. Astrophysics is the science of things like dark matter.
Okay, we'll build that and then get rid of it. That is a pain though, having to do that.
We don't know if it really exists. But
Given
it helps
that,
us
and given
explain
the importance of it,
movements of
I'm
galaxies.
actually going to give you
It obviously
a
doesn't get rid of
backup
all
to
irregularities.
water to make sure that you
After
are
a
always
little
there,
talk,
and
it's
also a
time for little
battery
music.
for the same
That's
reason.
regular.
Let's pop this little battery right about there, just to ensure that that is always turned on. Otherwise, I'm going to have to build a new one. I just couldn't understand why it wasn't working, but it's because I'm a derp. There we go. Let's get this built as quickly as you can so that this side of the colony isn't freezing all the time. But there we are. Everything else seems to be doing okay. Yeah, we're generally doing fine. Right, have we got enough people working there? Yes, we do. Marvelous. Okay, we're doing all right for food. Generally doing okay there for a number of things. I do want this to have a high priority, but I do not want it full of all of these colonists. So a right click there is going to restrict this workplace, even though I'm telling it to fill its jobs at a high priority. We are hurting for power though. Ah yes, of course, a number of facilities now need considerably more power. I would like this to get a priority on power, please. As for everything over here, this should get a priority on power, as should this. There we go. Once all of that is turned on, it's going to need to be repaired again.
Sector scanned.
Okay.
Anomaly found.
Now, are there any other areas where I could easily set up plenty of power? There are a couple. I don't want to go too OTT with... Two over the top with building wind farms, because each one does require maintenance, at least for the time being. We can drastically reduce how much maintenance is going to be involved with a bit of time. But let's just get some more of these set up for now. There we go. And oops, there as well. That should help us out with our energy demands, and once we have the sufficient polymers, we can get the rest done there as well. Right, where are all those beautiful metals? Over here. This method of not really going for the early metal extraction does mean you need to micro your transports a lot more, but I find it's a better use of your resources. Rather than having colonists working a metal mine extractor, when you can just have an automated transport working on all of that for you, I feel is a much bigger part. Right, we have actually completely consumed our fuel. These things do use a lot of it, unfortunately. So we're going to need to have that back up and running, as that will also be affecting our polymer production too. How are we doing over there?
Research
we're almost full
complete.
on that. Oops.
Vehicle battery low.
Storage compression, very nice, so we're not going to be able to store significantly more. Right, next up, let's see. Advanced passenger module, that isn't a huge thing for me, I'll be honest. For now, that isn't a big draw. I think we'll go for deep scanning so that we can re-scan a number of the areas that we have access to. Now, if you get deep scanning first, then as you work your way through everything, you will find a bunch of anomalies. If you get it, if you don't get it first, then you've got to scan everything, and then when you scan back again, you'll have another chance of finding anomalies. However, if you have deep scanning to begin with, every time you scan an area, you fully scan it, both surface scan and deep scan. Now, I'm not sure if that effectively halves the opportunity for you to find anomalies or not. I'm going to need to do more research on that one to work out what the case is. But now that we have this set up, we are going to need to have plenty more access to fuel. So, given that we've already tapped that quite heavily, I think we'll set up another area over here to gather more water. Now, As a general rule, I don't like having more than one extractor on in a specific node, but with water you tend to have so much in them that it does make a little bit more sense to do. Though these will only ever really get a little bit, simply because the node is so poor. They're never going to be able to extract at their full potential. Let's get that connected there. And that should help out quite a lot. Right.
Cable fault
okay.
reported.
More
Sector
things found.
scanned.
And this, all the concrete here has been used up. Now, do we have a better site for concrete? We don't. Well, we might have to go down there. Or we could just go over there and have concrete forever. 6 of one and half a dozen of the other on that one. We've used a massive amount of concrete to build everything over here. So we are going to need more concrete. How much more remains here? There's a decent amount actually. Let's break this down and replace it. We will see what we can do. If we can get hold of a little bit more around here, we will. Extra amplification. Marvelous. Our factories will be even better. Though I've not yet actually upgraded them. I've not spent the time needed to get them upgraded to work better. You do still have to purchase that upgrade. Right, let's get the concrete extractor. Where are we going to need you to be? As soon as that's gone, we'll be able to find out. It's probably around here, I'm guessing. Available resources 115, 17. Is there a decent amount here, perhaps? 196, yes. Okay, so we'll pop the next one there. And that will help out. Right, how are we doing over here? Hopefully everyone is happy. Yeah, generally people are fairly happy in there. That's very good to see. And how's everything going up here? That is now running, so I'm going to decommission this. We don't need it running anymore. Let's break that one down. And our ship can leave. Do we want to take any rare metals? At the moment, I'm going to say no. At the moment, I'm going to say we don't need to. So you can head back. Well, actually, how many rare metals do we have available? We've got 28. The consumption there is much slower than one mine is going to draw, though we don't actually have a lot of people working in that mine yet. So, no, I'm going to send it back, and we're going to summon a new passenger rocket. Now, we can carry 22. Let's go in here and have a proper look. We don't mind lazy, we don't mind glutton. I would rather not bring these along. We could bring cowards, but I would prefer just these three which we're treating. And that actually brings us down to 22. So we don't really have much choice here, I suppose. There are a couple that aren't as bad. For example, whiner isn't so bad simply because they might whine if they're low on... if they've got a low morale, then that is going to be an issue. Otherwise, it's not such a difficult one. We could bring along an alcoholic, but I'd prefer not to. Double sanity loss from disasters can be cured by caused by sanity breakdowns. Rather not. This one isn't so bad. Does mean that they need to go to a medical facility more, but I tend to have one in every one of my areas, so I guess that's fine. Right, let's have a quick review of the colonists we can have. If you click on review, you can choose. You cannot rename them in here, though, before anyone asks, unfortunately. I would like the scientists. Party animal, good. A survivor, hypochondriac, that's okay. We'll accept it. We want more engineers. A lazy engineer, really? That is awful. Engineers are going to get... Oh, another medic. I was going to say engineers are going to get priority, but medics are also quite good. Melancholic, religious, it's not terrible. A gaming geologist, fair enough. Splattercat, surely. Sexy, greatly increased birth rate for this geologist, okay. Another botanist wouldn't be a bad pick. Engineer down here. Hippie, melancholic. We don't actually have that many engineers, which is really sad. Composed, all sanity losses are halved. And then whiner loses sanity when long comfort over. Bring along another geologist. Another geologist there. We could get a couple of scientists, but generally speaking, we do want to try and focus a little bit. We want some people with no specialization. Not specifically, well, we could get by with just choosing scientists, but basically a grocer, for example, no specialization there. So it isn't the end of the world if you bring along some people who have no specialization. I think that's good enough. We'll launch with that. Goodbye, Plumber Smack One. Right, what are we waiting on here? We're waiting on polymers. Shouldn't take us too much effort to get. Now these are drawing a fair old bit of power, but a single heater over here would be enough to sort all of that out, I should imagine. Let's go ahead and build one. Just one wee heater all the way up here. How are we doing for power? We're doing fine on power. Since this is always a cold spot, if we pop that in there, it'll take care of all of these. And for 4, it'll bring these down to whatever their norm is. Let's just check what their norm is. It's 5, so we're dropping it by 3 and 3. So we are actually making a saving. We're saving 2 power by building this there, although we are using up a little bit of extra water. It is conceivable, though, that I'm going to be building another extractor on this node, so I'm not too upset about going for that. Right, how are people doing in this dome? Hopefully they're doing reasonably well. We'll see shortly.
Sector scanned. Anomaly
Fantastic.
found.
Right, let's have a look. Oops. Our expected, rather in the last sol we used 1.5 electronic parts for maintenance, but we only produced 1. Not great. Not great. Let's increase the amount of people who can work there then. Obviously, if we get engineers in there, it's going to be a lot better. Right now, we are using polymers on this building. Isn't awesome, but it's something we're going to have to live with. As far as this is going, we're doing fine with that. And we are moving plenty of stuff around, including colonists, which is really good. That's actually fine. So between the two areas, we are having children born, and they're moving around as needed.
Cable fault reported.
In the middle of a load of things I can't turn off, unfortunately. We are down on metals once again, though. Really? Did you run out of energy all the way over there? Well, scallywags, that is why we've run out of metals. Right, let's get over there and top you up. I think what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the delivery of personnel to this dome, and then we're going to be wrapping up the episode there. We've got 13 out of a potential 56 colonists there, but there are only 17 vacant work slots, which is very nice. That means we are going to be able to get another metal mine, and possibly we won't be hitting this one just yet. What we'll likely be doing is just increasing the amount of people working in each spot. Let's just drop that down right there on top of a drone, you know, for fun. Alright, how are we doing over there? Almost finished. We just need a mechanical part, and we should be good. We'll see that probably delivered in a moment. But there we are. Plenty of colonists, and there we go. And this dome is going to get even more
New
room
colonists
for our
have
colonists
arrived.
To live in. That is fantastic. At this
Resources
point, we can go
are low.
ahead and allow the whole work shift. The whole work shift down here already taken care of, and we've got a lot of geologists around, so I'm going to increase to a second work shift. We have got 2 vacant slots, though. I think that's going to be okay. We will eventually fill those. The main thing is that we've got this running now at 1 full shift, which is pretty good. Again, if we can get this full of engineers, then that is going to be a big help. But let's make sure that we're filtering properly. We want engineers and geologists and medics over here. We do not want scientists, simply because we've got no science facility here. So it's just engineers right now, geologists for the mines, and medics for our medical buildings. The others should move around as and when they have room. So hopefully we should see more scientists heading down here. How are we doing in terms of disabled work slots? There are quite a few, to be fair. But overall, I would say that we're doing reasonably well. Our buildings are all double staffed, so yeah, that's not so bad. Actually, not so bad at all. And we're producing plenty of food as well. So I think we're in generally a good position. We're almost up to 100% soil quality, which is also pretty awesome. And we're going to keep this stock just so that we have got a redundancy should my shuttle bay have to shut down during dust storms, although that's very unlikely on this particular map. Dust storms would mean that your shuttles can't fly. So having an alternate route, even if it is a lot slower, is very, very much worth it. Very much worth it. Right, how are we doing over there? We are doing well. These are down in their energy consumption, and this is using 4.4. So we're actually only saving 2.6, but we may that saving will go up a lot more when we build another extractor there. How are we doing overall? In fact, we're actually low on water, so maybe we should go ahead and do that now. You know what? Sure, let's get that done. Right, we'll pop this other extractor there. It will mean that this little area is going to be using up a fair old bit of maintenance. But again, we're going to be able to fix that in the future once we get access to certain technologies. In fact, having them clustered very close together is going to make that even easier. Let me just double check. I'm fairly certain that's just a graphical glitch. Yeah, it is a graphical glitch. Okay, that's fine. Oh, you worried me there, game. You worried me quite a lot. But let's have a quick look at our research. We are now moving on to medium domes, which is going to be a pretty big thing for us. We could, at this stage, go for nuclear fusion. That is a manned generator. And generally speaking, if you're going to use one, you've got to be prepared to be using it at all work shifts. So in total, you're going to want about 24 free people to make use of this one building. But that is a very, very useful building to have. A very useful building to have. I'm actually going to grab this breakthrough tech, though, as the next one, because I want to try and work a little bit on the comfort and morale of my colonists. But I think that's where we're going to be wrapping up this episode. I'm very, very pleased with what we've managed to do. We've got a pretty well-run little area here, and the projected daily production is now 2.6. We want that higher, but 2.6 is enough. We've got a daily production of 4.9 on our rare metals extractor. So at this point, I'm going to say that I am going to allow this to start shipping rare metals. In fact, I am going to say that I would like this to be automated. We're going to leave it on low priority, so it's going to get filled up slowly. I might move a fuel refinery over here to help out with that, but basically this will just ferry back and forth. It will no longer be available for moving any other type of cargo, and it will always land in this spot and take off from this spot over and over and over. So that will be useful for us, since this is where our rare metal mines exist. So they'll load it up, and as soon as it's got a full load of rare metals, a full load of fuel, it'll take off. Or I think it does actually also take off if there's been a period of some inactivity. So it might be fully fueled, but your rare metals are coming in very slowly. It'll eventually just leave with what it's got. But that's going to be it from me for now. I do hope you've enjoyed this episode and are looking forward to the next, where we're likely going to be looking at setting up another dome. I know we've only just set up this one, but once you actually start expanding, and especially once you've reached being self-sufficient with your polymers, electronics, and machine parts, expansion happens quickly. So I hope you're looking forward to that. But until then, and as ever, do take care, everyone.